Hello, everyone. This is Doug Davis with Crombie Realty, broker in charge of Crombie Realty, and here for another session of Ask Doug. And I've gotten this question so many times is, what do you do if you decide to sell your home or your condo and there's a tenant? Can we still sell it? Can you break the lease? Can you sell with the tenant there? Can the buyer take them? Can you buy them out? So, well, okay. So in Hawaii, the rental agreement is controlled by the landlord-tenant code, and you have a contract. So if you're in the middle of a lease and you sell the property, the buyer has to inherit the remaining term of the rental agreement. So in effect, the buyer is stepping into the landlord's shoes, in the seller's shoes, and just taking over where they ended. So that has to be honored. But what can you do if you want to sell and the buyer wants in as an owner occupant? So, okay, so there's a number of different scenarios here that we should go over. So you certainly have the right to sell it, of course, with or without a tenant. You know, about half of the properties here in Hawaii are owner occupied, and the rest, the other half, more or less, are tenant occupied. So it depends on which building, which neighborhood, but it's around 40, 60, 50, 50 for owner occupants versus tenants. So if you were to put it on the market, you have basically a 50-50 shake on whether the buyer is going to be an investor. And then you don't have to be concerned with the transfer. Okay, if you have an owner occupant, then, well, depending on where you are in the lease, they could inherit the short time period. Maybe there's only a month left. They can go ahead and buy it and have a tenant until they move out. You would need to double check with your lender, the buyer's brand new lender, to make sure that they're okay with having a tenant in there temporarily, because the buyer is purchasing on the presumption of being an owner occupant, not an investor. So the down payment and the points would be different, owner occupant versus investor. So you want to make sure that the lender is aware that this is a short-term scenario, and they would allow for that. But they usually don't go, we've had different lenders go different time periods. Some have been 2 weeks, some have been a month, some 45 days. So you have to find out from which loan program it makes a difference, I guess. There's always the scenario where you could ask the tenant and maybe they'll voluntarily go. We've had tenants that have done that. And then some have a longer time period and they don't see the need. And then certain sellers have offered a month free, 2 months free, maybe add in the moving van cost and pay them for that. And I mean, that could be quite substantial if you're renting for $2,000 a month and you get 2 months free, $4,000. That's a lot of money. That's like free money. So a lot of people have taken the bait and done that. So those are other ways it can be done. So, and it could be that the tenant just says, no, I have a contract and I'm staying 9 more months, and, you know, sell it to an investor, but owner occupant, I'm not moving. So you could have that scenario. So maybe you delay your decision on selling when it's closer towards the end of the term of the lease or after it's over. So there you go. Anyway, those are some options that you would have as a seller if you just wake up one morning and decide you need to sell your property. And those are the things that you'd have to deal with if it's tenant occupied. Okay, so hope that helps. And there you go. Keep those questions coming. Until next week.